Welcome to Chapter 12, Key Issue 3. We're taking a look at where our business service is distributed. In the hierarchy of business services, there's definitely cities that are more important as far as business services than others. The business services in global cities. When we talk about a global city, we're talking about cities that stand out. Huge cities that have real far reach importance because they're the centers of flow of information and capital, of money. They have law, banking, insurance, accounting, and advertising that extends beyond the country. They have the headquarters of large corporations. When we think about global cities, the three that come to mind are New York, London, Tokyo. These cities are ranked into three categories. All cities are ranked into three categories: alpha, beta, and gamma cities. To rank them, we look at economic factors. What are the number of headquarters for companies and finance and law that they have there? We look at political factors. Do they host international members or international organizations? We look at cultural factors. Is there renowned institutions in that city? Renowned media centers? And we look at infrastructural factors. Do they have a major international airport? Do they have major hospitals where people fly in from across the earth to get services, to get fixed at that hospital? Do they have advanced communication systems? And then as far as consumer and public services in global cities, if you're in a global city, your retail has an extensive market, but it also has more retailers, meaning we've got stores and kinds of perhaps clothing or furniture that people will travel all across the world because you're a global city and these things they have that far reach. But we also have more people, more retailers. It's not just one clothing store, it's thousands. Um, Global cities are loaded with plays, concerts, sports, nightclubs, restaurants. So we think about Dallas, because that's where we live. Is it a global city? In one sense, yeah. But we look over here and see that it's an alpha minus. So we're at the top of the cities that have international reach. But we don't have as much as New York City. We don't have as many people. We don't have as many headquarters of major corporations. We don't host like the United Nations. We have some renowned institutions, but really, if you're talking about institutions, museums, there's going to be so much more in New York City as compared to Dallas. Infrastructural factors. I think about our hospital, Parkland Hospital in Dallas. Sure, it has a renowned burn center. Like if you get burned, people from most of Texas, specifically North Texas, are going to go to Dallas. But more than that, New York has multiple hospitals that are renowned for their burn centers. So that's why New York is going to be ranked above. Here's a closer look. So the big ones, as I stated before, we got New York, London, Paris, Shanghai, and Tokyo. And even look, Singapore and Sydney, they're up close to the top there. Lesser cities, we're seeing Dallas where we live, LA, Chicago, Dubai, up and coming, big time. All right. When you need something done and you want to make connections, if you have offices in one of these major cities, you're going to be doing okay because you have connections and the availability for so many other services. That's the benefit of being in these global cities. Business services in developing countries. There's two that tend to stand out. Offshore financial services. Why would offshore financial services be big in developing countries? Well, because taxes are very low in those countries, and you're not taxed in the United States for the most part. And there's privacy, where your assets are protected, potentially. For example, the Cayman Islands has 40,000 people. You know, we have so many towns in this country that have 40,000 people and way more. But the Cayman Islands, it only has 40,000 people. But it has over $1 trillion in assets. What that means is there's people from the United States that have businesses or personal even, and then they store their money in the Cayman Islands because they're not taxed on it and their privacy is protected for the most part. So these offshore financial services you're going to find in developing countries. Why? Because of these two reasons right there. And then in developing countries, you're also going to see business process outsourcing, or BPO. These are back office functions like processing, claims processing, payroll, transcription work, clerical, billing, and tech help. Think about it. When you call up for technical help these days, is it usually a person from the United States that answers the phone? No. Think about where it's from. A lot of the times it's from India because it's a lot more affordable over there because people are working for lower wages and they're being trained to speak English. So if you're running a business and you don't want to pay as much taxes in the United States, you want some of your assets protected. Like if you went bankrupt, you still had maybe a lot of money and assets over there in the Cayman Islands, and you could pay workers a lot less to do the same thing. You're probably going to think about setting up your business in a developing country. The economic base of settlements. You've got basic industries that export primarily to customers outside the settlement, and new basic industries that spark growth for new services. And you've got non-basic industries. These sell to customers that live in the same area, but do not spark new services. So if you've got, for your economic base in your city, some basic industries, you're going to be doing great because they're exporting to consumers outside the settlement. But because this is such a big company, then new industries are going to spark right around that. If you've got a non-basic industry, you're going to sell to customers in the same area, but it's not going to be big enough. Like, for example, I'll use my Domino's service again, right? If you're a Domino's and you show up in your settlement, you're going to sell to customers in the same area, but you're not going to create new services. But if you're like a basic industry, like a Nike distribution center, then you're going to export to consumers outside of that Nike distribution center, but you're also going to probably spark the new growth of services like, for example, a new Domino's, because you have to feed the people that are going to be working at that new distribution center. So what you're seeing these days for cities that aren't necessarily all the way at the top of the global city hierarchy, you're going to see specialization where a city focuses on a service. Now these are generalized, but you start to see if a city isn't a major global player, then perhaps it'll focus on something like entertainment. When you think of Las Vegas, Reno, and Atlantic City, you got Vegas that's focused on gambling, entertainment. They're not big on manufacturing. They're big on entertainment. Pretty much all of Vegas is straight up entertainment, right? So they specialize that. That's where they get all of their revenue. If you're looking for data processing, maybe you're looking at Boston or San Jose, California. High tech, maybe you're looking at Austin, Orlando, or Raleigh-Durham. Austin down here in Texas, known for high tech. They're not necessarily a big manufacturing or industry giant, but they specialize in the tech industry. So Austin makes a lot of revenue from that. Military support. If you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or Colorado Springs, you're going to be supporting the military with a lot of your business and consumer services. Medical, Rochester, Minnesota. All right, management consulting, Washington, D.C. If you're doing a lot of consulting, you're over here in Washington, D.C., along the eastern seaboard with all these major cities up here. And then we also consider the distribution of talent. Some cities have more. If you need talented people, where are you going to look? Are you going to look in Lubbock, Texas? Well, yeah, sure, there's some highly talented people there. But there tends to be a higher distribution of talented people in Los Angeles than like Lubbock. There tends to be a higher amount of talented people in Dallas. And what we're saying as far as talent is, okay, maybe we're talking about traditional talent like actors for the entertainment industry. Certainly, you're going to find those in Los Angeles. But we're also talking about physicians, key legal personnel. Anybody who's highly skilled in what they do, that's talent. Some cities have more. New York City is going to have more talent than Dallas is going to have. Unless you're talking about me, then Dallas has a lot of talent. Ha! Just kidding. That's our look at Chapter 12, Key Issue 3.